What's up, peeps? It's me. I'm back. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's being smart. Hope everybody's staying safe. And I hope everybody's on code. I'm going to get right into this tonight because I'm not feeling my best. But this was important, so I figured we need to get into it. As everybody knows, well, I can't assume that everybody knows, but most of us know about the whole Jussie Smollett case. How back in 2019, early part of 2019, Jussie Smollett, who used to be on Empire, Jussie Smollett claimed that he was attacked by two folks with mega hats and all this, and they were and they had a noose, and they were throwing around all kind of racial homophobic slurs and all of that. Well, it was found that Jussie was lying, and they brought up charges against him in 2019, and those charges were dropped. Well, they turned around and they brought the charges back. And as of yesterday, Jussie Smollett has been convicted by a Chicago court on charges he staged a hate crime against himself in 2019 and then lied to police about it. The actor was found guilty of 5 counts of disorderly conduct. The Associated Press and CNN report Smollett was acquitted on another count of lying to a detective. Disorderly conduct is a Class 4 felony that can carry a prison sentence of up to 3 years. Sentencing will take place at a later date. All right. Now, as has already been reported on, as the new black media and many others have already reported on it, Jussie is one of these intersectionalists. You know, he puts his sexual orientation and all of that above being black. If I'm not mistaken, I think his father may be white or something like that, but his mother is black, and he puts his a sexual identity above being black. He's all about, you know, pushing the narratives and all of this, and a lot of people have said that there was more to this whole stunt that he pulled back in 2019 than what meets the eye. And a lot of people were saying that they felt like people in high places in the Democratic Party and all of this had something to do with it. There were connections between Jussie Smollett and the Obamas. There were connections between Jussie Smollett and Kamala Harris. Now it has come out that there have been connections between Jussie Smollett and Don Lemon of CNN. So a lot of people were saying that there was more to this than just Jussie planning this whole thing out and telling this lie. Because if you remember, because of all the propaganda, because of everything that was going on, because how the whole homophobic part of it was being pushed, they were able, Kamala Harris and Cory Booker were able to get that anti-lynching bill passed for LGBT. Now, we've got over 200 anti-lynching bills still sitting out there for black people, the people who have been lynched in this country, who have predominantly been lynched in this country, especially during the Jim Crow era. We've got over 200 lynching bills just sitting out there that nobody will touch. Nothing has been passed. Nobody is promoting it. Nobody's supporting it. Nobody's pushing it or anything. But they did manage to get this hate crime, this anti-lynching bill passed for LGBT, and it was supposed to be something like a hate crimes bill for LGBT, and it was something that Kamala Harris and Cory Booker were really pushing, and they were able to get it pushed through when this whole Jussie Smollett thing came out. And most of the people, most black people, even a lot of black gay people, you understand what I'm saying? And especially a lot of black people in the new black media were calling out this hoax from the very beginning. They were calling it out from the very beginning. And another thing that they were calling out was how quickly the Chicago Police Department utilized all their resources to find these 2 guys that allegedly attacked him, how quickly they used all their resources to find them and to bring this case to a head, when they claim that they can't never solve all of these so-called murders and all these so-called homicides and all these so-called shootings and killings and everything that are supposed to be going on in Chicago. The police can't never seem to solve none of them. But it took them a matter of what, maybe 3-4 days? I mean, and they were using all kind of grainy camera images and everything, and they found those two Nigerian brothers who were a part of this whole thing with Jussie Smollett, okay? But this is the main thing. The main thing is, now the white media and all the white supremacists and all the suspected white supremacists and everybody want to come out, everybody trying to distance themselves from Jussie. You don't hear the LGBT community saying anything and standing with him. You don't hear all of these people that were backing him, all the people in the Democratic Party and all of these liberals and all these people that were just backing him and pushing him, and everybody just all over social media tweeting and posting and all about this when it first happened. You don't hear any of those people coming to his defense now. They have basically thrown him under the bus and ran over him. But the thing that Tariq brought up in a broadcast that he did yesterday that I want to emphasize and I want to bring up on my channel is, okay, if you go spend all of this money to actually bring this man to trial, you understand what I'm saying, and convict him for making a false report, because that's basically all they did. That's all it is he made a false report to the police, and that's what he's being convicted of, making a false report to the police and lying to the police. If you gonna go through all of this or spending all of this taxpayers' money to have this trial and to bring in jurors and witnesses and all of this kind of stuff to put this man on trial and to convict him for making a false report, and he didn't hurt anybody. It was a victimless crime. He didn't get hurt. Nobody else got hurt. The only 3 people that we know of that have been named so far that were involved were him and the 2 Nigerian brothers that worked this thing out with him. Nobody was hurt. There was never even a threat of anybody being hurt. But you're going to go through all this, spend all of this money and all of this to bring this man to trial, you understand what I'm saying, and convict him of making false police reports. When you got all these white folks and all these Karens running out here making all of these false police reports and making all these fake 911 calls against black folks, and they're actually doing harm. They're actually causing black folks to be arrested, to be killed, the whole 9 yards. So let's just name a few. You understand what I'm saying? Let's start with present and go to the past. Now, just about a week ago, let me see if I can, let me see if the date is on here. Yeah, this was December the 9th. This is from the U.S. Sun. And this article came out December the 9th. So just a couple of days ago, you had a Karen who was in a Spencer's at Sunrise Mall in Citrus Heights outside of Sacramento. So this was in California. You had this Karen who accuses a black man of stealing her telephone. Now, she's standing with some of the employees in Spencer's with her purse in front of her. And you'll see the video because the video is in this article. I think they got the video in the article. Yeah. Let me just let you hear it.
We need to become more and more adept.
That's just an ad. I'm gonna let that run.
Even the unfortunate truth,
because I know y'all ain't interested in hearing that.
if they're actually true. I think that's the big obstacle right now. Is I hate another point of view, thus I can't listen to the facts. And I think we need to let the genuine facts prevail. That's really where progress is achieved.
we heard you.
Yeah, no.
Can you call it? Because she won't let us call it.
Yeah, let's phone number.
916. Well, he could have turned off the ringer.
Oh my God, what do you want him to get naked, lady?
Alright, guys.
I kind of like the phone.
You don't need
Guys.
to,
Yeah, do it.
Let's try to.
So, first of all, when they say,
So now it's
I
this.
really need my phone back.
Stop looking at him.
first of all, when they say, can you call it? Because that's where the recording picks up. She ruffling through her pocketbook. She's standing there with some of the employees and a female, a woman who was with him. And I believe she was a white woman, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm not sure. But just based on, for a minute there in the video, you see her hand. It looks like she was either light-skinned or she was a white woman. But anyway, she said, well, why don't you let him call it? Why don't you call the phone? Because she won't let us call it. Meaning she won't give us the number so we can call her phone, since she's accusing this guy, this black guy, of stealing her phone. So her first excuse is, well, maybe he turned the ringer off. And she looks down, and you can tell at that moment that she knows her phone is about to ring in her purse. So y'all have got to watch this video. But let's keep going.
I'm like, it's her. Talk to him. He's trying to help you.
Let me get the number. 916.
You got everything in my pocket.
Do you want to pat him down?
You got it down, don't. That's all I got.
I'm still waiting for the number.
Well, if it's
If it's in his pocket, it won't ring because he turned off your ringer, is what you're also accusing us of. Even though he just emptied out everything in his pocket. Here's his pocket with his vape in it. Do you want to turn it out?
Guys, can we...
She can't.
well, if they have my number, then they have my phone.
Well, let's...
We don't have your phone.
Now there she is clearly. They have my number. They have my phone. It brings to mind the Karen, the white woman that was outside of Walmart in the Walmart parking lot that accused the black guy of stealing her son's phone. And she walked all the way in Walmart behind this man, harassing this man, talking all kind of junk, just talking all kind of crazy shit behind this man. The Walmart employees were on her side, and comes to find out the boy had left his phone in the car. Just like the Karen that jumped on the black, I think it was a black athlete, or was he an athlete, or a black entertainer or something. The woman had jumped on his son at the hotel and accused him of stealing her phone. Okay, y'all, this is 2021. Everybody has a damn phone. We got 11, 12, 13, 14-year-olds walking around with the latest iPhone. Folks really ain't got to be stealing phones, okay? But this is how black people, especially black men, are accused by white women or white classifying women. You understand what I'm saying? Why? Because it's just automatically going to believe that she's right and he's wrong. Based on history, just based on this society. If it's a white woman against a black man, automatically she's right, he's wrong. He must have did what she said he did. Okay? Let's keep going.
I just felt it right here. You walked right behind me.
How long did you type it? I didn't take it.
You type it in.
I did not take it. What are you doing?
Right now.
Is it in your purse, ma'am?
It is. I'm so sorry.
Really?
I am sorry.
Alright, cool.
I apologize. I'm really sorry.
No, you're not.
And what got me is then the black guy actually proceeds to go ahead on and purchase what it was he had intended to purchase in Spencer's. At that point, I wouldn't have purchased a damn thing. But this man has turned out his pockets and all that. Okay, black folks, understand, you do not have to turn out your pockets. You do not have to empty your pockets. You do not have to answer any questions. You do not have to show these folks any ID. None of that. When these Kens and Karens come up to you trying to accuse you of doing shit that you know you didn't do. Now, this could have easily went the other way. She could have called the police, and the police would have taken, okay, we know how those situations often turn out. And And never forget the Central Park Karen who made it her business when she called 911 to let them know that it was an African American man that was threatening her. No charges. No jail time. No thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars spent of taxpayers' money to put her on trial. Okay? Now, there was that one. And she goes around at the end of the video, trying to apologize and all of that. No, whatever. Okay, that's that one. Now let's move on to maybe about 2 weeks ago. This was December the 8th too. This is coming from Yahoo News, but it happened a little bit before then. This one happened about maybe a week ago. Yahoo News. This is by Jasmine Alice, and this video here, and the video will also be in the description box. This video surfaced, and it went viral on social media, just like the other one that we just brought up. It's gonna go viral. Well, this one went viral, and it was a mother and a son harassing this black guy in a parking garage, right? And the son actually swung on the black guy. Okay, so let's read a little bit. We just want to know what your job is. Son charged with assault after mom calls police on black worker in Tennessee parking garage. Now, his name is Johnny Martinez. Johnny Martinez said that he was going to press charges. And that's exactly what he did. He pressed charges, and the son has been charged with assault. A white man has been charged with assault, and he and his mother are accused of racially profiling after an interaction led to an altercation with a black man who was working at a Tennessee parking garage. Johnny Martinez, who identified himself as black in the video he recorded of the encounter, was checking cars for parking permits in the River House apartment building's parking garage in Nashville for a booting company on the evening of November the 27th. So this is when this happened. Like I said, this one happened a few weeks ago. When he noticed Edward Brennan and his mother Bitsy keeping a closer than normal eye on him. And of course, like I said, the video is in here, right? In the video, Martinez can be heard asking his mother and son, "What do you want to know about what I'm doing in here?" To which Bitsy replies, "We just want to know what your job is and why." And it's cut off by Martinez, who answers, "None of your business." And he walks away. So he tried to walk away from him. He didn't want no confrontation with him and all of that. But just like he said, it ain't none of your business what I'm doing down here. You're not the police. You're not a security guard. You understand what I'm saying? But Brennan threatens to call the cops and tells Martinez that this is not your apartment and asks him to present identification. So now, and I heard somebody else say this and it fit perfectly. These white folks are now asking us for identification in 2021. Like you had to present your slave papers and your papers and your traveling permits and all of that kind of stuff doing antebellum slavery in 17 and 1821. So they still asking us for identification like we in the wrong place, like we don't have a right to move around freely and all of that, because slaves didn't have a right to move around freely. They had to present papers with their owners. They had to present all kind of permissions and all of that had been written out by their owners for them to travel from one plantation to the next and all of that. So in 2021, some 402 years after slavery officially started in the United States on this North American continent, these folks are still asking us for our papers. So they are still operating as slave patrols. Martinez exchanges more words with Bitsy, who notes that this is a secure building. And when he asks how she thinks he got in, He turns and Brennan can be seen trying to grab for Martinez's phone as his mother yells for him to stop. When he attacked me, he swung. He almost hit me in the face, Martinez told the Daily Beast. He broke this bottle opener off of my keys. When I went to go pick it up, he lunged. You know, just like a white supremacist coward, always try to wait till you distracted or whatever, and then they're going to try to sneak you. Bitsy proceeded to call the police on Martinez after her son told him to get the fuck out of my building. The mother can be heard describing the situation to the police in the video and tells them that Martinez got nasty with them while leaving out any details about her son's actions. You understand what I'm saying? So, he got nasty with them. See, that's that white privilege. That's that white supremacist mentality. This nigga stepped out of his place. This black man stepped out of line. And it's up to us white folks, us supreme white folks, to put him back in his place. There's some gentleman down here. We asked him what he was doing down here, and he said it was none of our business. And he's kind of got nasty towards us, she says to the 911 operator. We kind of are trying to figure out why this person's in the parking deck. He will not tell us why he's here, and he will not show us his ID. It's a secure building. Like, he obligated to show them anything. Same thing with Ahmaud Arbery. Remember, they kept talking about, the McMichaels kept talking about, they tried to get him to stop, and they told him to stop. They wanted to talk to him, and all that. Ahmaud Arbery was under no obligation to stop and talk to them. But just because they were white men with guns, and he was a young black man jogging, he was under some kind of obligation to just obey their orders, obey their commands. That same white supremacist, slave master mentality. And it's evident more and more and more every day now that all of these Karen and Ken videos are coming out, where these white women are trying to stop black people from coming onto their own property. You understand what I'm saying? Coming into their own apartment buildings, demanding that they show them ID and all of this kind of stuff. When the dispatcher appeared to ask whether she was security, Bitsy responded, "I'm not security, no. I live in this building, and this person's walking around down here." And Martinez loudly added, "Tell them that the person is black." Because he knew what it was all about. You understand what I'm saying? And finally, somebody who would just go ahead on and just put it out there for what it is. It's out and out racism. It's out and out white supremacy. Doesn't have anything to do with anything else. And this man just makes it clear and puts it on out there. The only reason why they came for me, the only reason why they approached me, confronted me, anything, was because I was black. According to Martinez's YouTube post, he waited at the property about 40 minutes for Metro PD, where I filed a police report and will be pressing charges. And by the time the cops showed up, the mother and son were nowhere to be seen. So they held up and hightailed it out of there after they done called the cops. But they realized, okay, we might not have a leg to stand on, because he does actually have video of us harassing him and my son assaulting him, right? On December 2nd, police issued an arrest warrant for Edward, that's the son, on charges of assault, citing that a reasonable person would regard that contact as extremely offensive or provocative, which caused Martinez to fear imminent bodily injury. The apartment complex declined to make a comment, and Edward Brennan hung up on the Daily Beast when the Daily Beast called. So that's number two. So where are the charges? You made a fake call. This man wasn't doing nothing wrong. You down there assaulting somebody, but you gonna call trying to get somebody else in trouble. She needs to be charged for that unnecessary call. Since all these white folks want to run around and talk about all the unnecessary money that Chicago had to spend investigating Jussie Smollett, the Jussie Smollett situation, well, just think about the wasting time and gas that the police had to spend going to this location behind a Karen and her son trying to tend to something they didn't have nothing to do with. And certainly not to the point of, you know what I'm saying, approaching this man and actually trying to start a physical altercation with him. If you was concerned, just call the police and keep it moving. But you down there trying to demand paperwork and identification and all that. Again, like these slave countries, that's that mentality, that slave master mentality. Okay? Let's move on to the next one. Now, I've already brought this up one time. I'm going to bring it up again. This Arthur Allen Sebo, the one who wrote this book, Lucky, and then went on to do a novel called The Lovely Bones, and they done took one of her books and made a movie out of it, and she done made millions and millions and millions of dollars off of this story. Well, come to find out, she identified the wrong man. And in 1982, Anthony Broadwater was convicted of raping her and served 16 years. And then after those 16 years was up and he was let go, he had to register as a sex offender. So not only did he serve 16 years of his life in prison for nothing, now he has to live with the stigma of being a sex offender. Right? And the only thing this woman did was apologize. He's 61 years old now. Okay, let's see. 82, we 21. So that was 29 years ago? Yeah, that was 29 years ago. Yeah. 29 years ago. Or was it 39 years ago? I think that was 39 years ago. I'm thinking, let's see. Yeah. So this man was what? 39 years. He's 61 now. He was 22 years old? What's 22 and 39? Yeah, he was 22 years old. And he's 61 years old. And his conviction was just overturned on November the 22nd. All based on her lie. Because it says that she identified him in the courtroom. After Broadwater was arrested, Sebo failed to identify him in a police lineup, picking a different man as her attacker because she was frightened of the expression in his eyes. But prosecutors put Broadwater on trial anyway, telling Sebo. He was convicted basically largely on Sebo identifying him as her rapist on the witness stand. So in the lineup, see, this is how corrupt the whole system is. In the lineup, she identified a whole different man. But after talking to the police, when the time came for the trial, she identified him as her rapist on the witness stand. So it sounds to me like it was the police that convinced her that this is the one that raped you. This is the man that you need to be identifying. They put him on trial anyway, even after she could not identify him in a lineup. And after 39 years, all she can offer is an apology. Although she's made millions and millions and millions of dollars off of her trauma, quote unquote. Okay, where's the money to put her on trial for lying? It's obvious you lied because you didn't identify him in a lineup. But then by the time he gets to trial, all of a sudden you can identify him and he's the right man. So obviously you lied. So where is your trial for you going to for you telling this lie in the courtroom? And for you making this false identification of this person and causing this person to spend the next 16 years of their life in prison for something you know they didn't do. Hold on, y'all. But he black. So some half-ass apology is supposed to be enough for him. He need to be suing her. He need to be suing the prosecutor's office. He need to be suing the police. He need to be suing everybody that he can sue. But this is what happens to black men, and in some cases black women, but predominantly black men, based on the word of some white woman, some white man somewhere. Predominantly white women. There was another brother that was just exonerated. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday. Same scenario. Same scenario. Some white woman had claimed he raped her and had accused him of raping her and identified him as the rapist. And they found out, let me get this one. Hold on, y'all. Let me see if I can still find it. Let me see if I put it on my Twitter. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Hold on, let me see. I'm gonna see if I can find it, y'all. Hold on, cause it's important that we highlight this. Hold on 1 minute. I'm gonna try one more place. If I don't find it on this one, then if I don't find it in this spot, then I'll keep it moving. Okay, one more spot. But yeah, it's another brother. If I'm thinking New York. I'm thinking that's where it was. Hold on. Hold on. Let me go down just a little bit further and see if I can find it. I can't find it, y'all. If I find it, I'll leave a link to it in the description box. But yeah, this brother, I think it was in New York. I'm not sure. Hold on, let me try something. This might be it. This might be it. Hold on. This might be it. Oh no, this is the one. Yeah, this is the one for the dude in Boston. A Massachusetts man who spent over 2 decades in prison was released Tuesday after a judge ruled he was wrongly convicted of murder and armed robbery. James Lucian, 48, was serving a life sentence in connection to the 1994 fatal shooting of Ryan Edwards, 23. And the reason why they overturned it is because they found out that the police were corrupt. Listen to this. The heart of our appellate argument here is that the jury simply did not hear evidence they could have used to acquit Mr. Lucian. So he didn't get due process. Almost everywhere we look in this case, there are serious problems. So you had a detective, John Brazil, participated in sprawling corruption scheme from 1990 to 96 with other officers, in which they would conspire to lie, rob, and steal from drug dealers by submitting false warrant applications. Oh, it was just the biggest mess. And then one police officer ended up cooperating in the federal investigation and testifying against other police officers. It was a mess. It was a mess. So they exonerated him a couple of days ago. Okay? Now that's just a little. That's not for the same thing. But that's for lies. You understand what I'm saying? Them white police officers lying on folks and false arrests and scams and schemes and robbing and stealing and all of this. The evidence is clear that the biggest criminals and the biggest gangs are in law enforcement. Okay? But now let's keep it moving. Now we're going to go to June 2019. We got this out of WSBTV.com. Walmart 911 caller intentionally lied to police about man with toy gun fatally shot in Ohio store. So this is when John Crawford III, the young black man, you understand what I'm saying? Crawford wasn't but, how old was Crawford? I think Crawford was 22. So he was 22 years old. Let me read this a little bit. In a lawsuit over the 2014 shooting by police of a Beaver Creek Walmart customer, attorneys for Walmart plan to claim that another customer who called 911 was the cause of the incident and the store should not be held responsible. They say Ronald Richie's, that's the man who made the 911 call, the white man. Ronald Richie's lies are the sole reasons why police came into the Walmart store with their guns drawn. Ronald Richie intentionally lied to the police. Ronald Richie was not a good Samaritan who was mistaken. So what Richie told the dispatcher was that there was a black man holding a rifle. He appeared to be loading it and waving it near people, including children. What he actually had done was picked up an unpackaged pellet rifle that he found on the store shelf. And he had that in his hand and his cell phone in his hand when Richie seen him. Okay, let's go down here a little bit. Ronald Richie's lies are the sole reasons why police only gave Mr. Crawford seconds to put down the air rifle before shooting him. In fact, the police officers admitted that the false statements were the reason for shooting and killing Mr. Crawford. A citizen-led effort to bring charges against Richie in Fairborn Municipal Court ended when Special Prosecuting Attorney Mark Pepemier said there was no reason to believe that Richard knowingly made a false report. How do you not knowingly make a false report when you know you're telling a lie? When you telling people, when you telling this dispatch, when you call 911, you telling them that you looking at this man with this gun, he appears to be loading the gun, and he's waving it at people. So how did you not know that you were making a false statement? And of course, we all know that no charges were pressed against this man. But it's his lies, his false report that brought about the killing, the murder of John Crawford. What is it, the third? Yeah, John Crawford the third. Okay, now let's go a little bit farther. We're going back a little ways now. Now we're going back to the Central Park 5. Okay? Central Park 5. Based on lies, allegations, based on the prosecutorial misconduct of Linda Feinstein, Fairstein, who was she was the, let me see, what was she? Let me get her. She was a prosecutor. She was a prosecutor, and she was the head of the Feinstein was the top Manhattan sex crimes prosecutor in 1989 when the 5 teenagers were charged with a vicious attack on a jogger in Central Park. Now, even though with all the DNA evidence, they couldn't match the DNA evidence that was found at the scene with any of the 5 teenagers. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure y'all have seen, what is it? When They See Us. Yeah, When They See Us. I'm sure many people have seen that that Netflix documentary, that Netflix movie about the whole Central Park 5. Let me read a little bit here. Wait a minute, there was another story on it. Feinstein, who became a best-selling crime author after retiring from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, observed the boys' interrogation but didn't personally try the case. Now, no, that ain't the one. Let me find the one where they talk about there was no forensic evidence that linked these boys to this crime. Yeah, Central Park 5, the true story behind When They See Us. And of course, these articles will be linked down in the description box. As the DNA evidence from semen found at the scene didn't match any of the 5 boys, prosecutors relied solely on the initial interrogations. Now, later on down the years after these boys had been railroaded, you understand what I'm saying? They had been beaten, they had been terrified, the whole 9 yards. And even after 2 trials, after Donald Trump decided he was going to spend all of this money and all of this, you understand what I'm saying, to make sure that they were prosecuted and all of that. What's his name? Menendez. Let me go back and get his name right. Matias Reyes confessed to committing the crime alone. DNA linked him to the crime. So it was actually his DNA that they found at the crime scene. And he had actually just raped another woman 2 days prior to that in Central Park. But they wanted these little black boys. So again, some more lying. You understand what I'm saying? Why hasn't this Linda Feinstein woman ever been held accountable for the part that she played in it? Why haven't any of the New York City Police Department, why haven't none of those officers, the ones that were accused of beating these boys and terrorizing these boys and interrogating these boys, why would none of them ever charged with anything? But you want to charge Jussie Smollett, and you want to spend taxpayers' money to do a trial when nobody was harmed. It was a victimless crime, and now you want to talk about sentencing him and putting a felony on his record. Well, that'd just be another black man with a felony. Now let's go a little bit further. Let's go to Tamir Rice. Right? Now, for what we know is that Tamir was 12 years old, and he was running around at the Cardell Recreation Center, a park in the city of Cleveland's Public Works Department. Now, the person who actually called the police, who actually called 911, this person said that he was running around pointing this gun at random people. The person also said it looks like a fake gun. It's probably a fake gun. You understand what I'm saying? And that person also said this person looks like a juvenile, which means it looks like a minor, a kid, right? But none of this information was relayed to the officers on the initial dispatch call. Now, this is what hold on. Now, this is the actual Justice Department giving their reason for closing the investigation into the 2014 officer-involved shooting of Tamir Rice. But this is what they say the dispatch sent out to the officers. Now, listen to this. At approximately 3:11 p.m., an individual made a 911 call to report that a guy with a pistol, first of all, he said guy. This is not a guy. This is a 12-year-old kid. Was pointing a gun at multiple people at the playground. The caller gave a detailed description of the individual, stated that he was probably a juvenile, and that the gun was probably fake. But he also described the scene as very frightening. Okay, that dude right there for telling that lie, guy. You understand what I'm saying? Just like we've always talked about. Black kids, by the time you 6, 7 years old, they don't look at you as children. They don't describe you as children or as minors. By the time you 6, 7 years old, they looking at you like an adult. And when they go to describe you, they will describe you in terms of you appearing to be an adult to them. They won't describe you as a child. But you notice when they talk about white kids, they can be 21, 29, 30, whatever. They'll say kid, teen. On the date of the incident, Tamir was 12 years old and stood 5'7" and weighed 195 pounds. Okay, now hold on. Now this is the information the dispatcher relayed to officers gone back and Loman was, there's a black male sitting on the swing. He's wearing a camouflage hat, a gray jacket with black sleeves. He keeps pulling a gun out of his pants and pointing it at people. The dispatcher did not relay that the individual might be a juvenile or that the gun might be fake. So both of them should have been held responsible, you understand what I'm saying, and held accountable and charged with giving false information, giving false reports to the police, because neither one of them described him as he was a child. They let it just hang out there, or there's just some black guy running around with a gun, pointing the gun at folks. But again, they closed this. They closed this. Ain't nobody done nothing wrong. Ain't nothing to see here. Ain't nobody done nothing wrong. Now, let's go to Carolyn Bryan. And how Timothy Tyson's book on Emmett Till that became a bombshell says that she admitted, you understand what I'm saying, that she lied when she testified about Emmett Till accosting her, touching her, grabbing her around her waist, the whole 9 yards. Now, after the husband died, she wanted to claim that he was physically abusing her and that she was just so upset and so distraught and all of this kind of stuff. But in this article, you will actually see his notes. I'm talking about the author, Timothy Tyson. You will actually see his notes. It says, Carol Bryant notes, July 2008, Bryant, and this is on a notepad, that part wasn't true. 50 years ago, I just don't remember. Nothing that boy ever did could justify what happened to him. Now in this they trying to act like her family was so upset about the book and her family didn't know this and her family didn't know that and the whole 9 yards. This is what she said. In his book, The Blood of Emmett Till, Tyson wrote about Dunham's, that's her new name, you know, she got married again, memoir recounting the story she told at the trial using imagery from the classic Southern racist horror movie of the Black Beast Rapist, but about her testimony that Till had grabbed her around the waist and uttered obscenities. She now told me that part's not true. Now, they talk about how that particular quote is not on the tapes that they have, because he says the FBI have all the tapes and everything. He said, and the reason why it's not on the tapes is because he said it is true that that part is not on tape because I was setting up the tape recorder, Tyson said. He said when Dunham began to mutter something about they're all dead now anyway, he snatched up his notebook and began taking notes, which the FBI has since subpoenaed. And that's where this photo of his notes comes in. Now, down here at the bottom, I want to read this. Despite the FBI's current re-examination, those familiar with the case doubt there will be any prosecution. Bryant said Dunham has never wavered from the story she has told since 1955. But what they're saying in this article is, but her story has differed over the years. So her story has changed over the years. In 1955, she shared with a defense lawyer for her husband and Malam that as soon as her husband Roy returned from a work trip, she told him what happened in the store with Till. So in 1955, she was saying that as she told a defense lawyer that as soon as her husband and his friend or brother-in-law, whatever, got back from this work trip, she told him what had transpired between her and Emmett Till. But she has repeatedly said since then that someone else told Roy first. I didn't say anything, and one of the reasons I didn't ever say anything more about it was because I was afraid that what I was worried about was he's going to go find and beat him up. She told FBI agent Dale Killinger. So that's two different stories. First she said she was the one that told him. Now she's saying that somebody else told him. In 1955, she took the witness stand to testify, and the judge concluded her testimony was inadmissible. With the jury out, she told the courtroom and reporters present that Till grabbed her on the hips and told her that he had had sex with white women before using an obscenity. Davis Hawk, co-author of Emmett Till and the Mississippi Press, said if Dunham is saying she didn't recant in her interview with Tyson, we're left with a familiar story. A predatory black man threatened to rape her on the evening of August 24. Now we're talking about, how old was Emmett at the time? 11? 14? I think he was 14. So again, no matter how young you are, if you're black, you automatically a man. Right? Let's keep going. He sees two problems with that. One, her court testimony differs greatly from her initial statement, where she said Till grabbed her hand, asked for a date, said goodbye, and whistled. When Till's killers arrived at Moss Wright's house, that was his great uncle that he was down there visiting, they asked for the boy who did the talking at money. They didn't ask for the one who touched Dunham. If she indeed recanted, he said, we are at long last asked to see her as a pawn in the defense attorney's strategy. In the end, he said, Dunham and Tyson answered the same question. Who was Emmett Till? Their very different answers continue to hang over the familiar, if mute, photographs of the Chicago child whose story has become a proxy for so many black boys and men in our present moment. And again, the Justice Department just closed the Emmett Till case, saying that ain't nothing to see here. Everything went down exactly like it should. Ain't nothing to see here. Ain't nothing to see. But you got this woman admitting that she lied. At least saying that part wasn't true. But she had already lied. She had already changed her story a couple of times. Now, and let's do one more. You know, just for good measure. Let's do one more. Let's go to the Rosewood Massacre of 1923. Now, we already know the Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street. We already know the Tulsa Massacre in 1921 was based on so-called a black man attacking a white girl in an elevator. Blocks and blocks, a whole black community burned to the ground and over 300 black people dead. That was in 21. Well, they wasn't done. In 1923, they did it again. But this time in Rosewood. Okay? Let's just read a little bit about Rosewood. On January 1st, 1923, a massacre was carried out in the small, predominantly black town of Rosewood in Central Florida. The massacre was instigated by the rumor that a white woman, Fannie Taylor, had been sexually assaulted. Some people say there was no sex involved. Some people say she was just badly beaten. But whether it was sexually assaulted or assaulted, it was a white woman claiming that she had been assaulted by a black man in her home in a nearby community. A group of white men believing this rapist to be a recently escaped convict named Jussie Hunter, who of course they never found, who was hiding in Rosewood, assembled to capture this man. So you got all these white men gonna come together to capture this one lone black rapist escapee named Jussie Hunter. Prior to this event, now get this, prior to this event, a series of incidents had stirred racial tensions within Rosewood. In the winter of 1922, a white school teacher from Perry had been murdered, and on New Year's Eve in 1922, there was a Ku Klux Klan rally held in Gainesville, Florida, located not far away from Rosewood. Just like with the Tulsa Massacre, they talk about some of the different things that had happened, the different racial incidents that had happened prior to the massacre to stoke the racial tension, the racial hatred. So all it took was for a white woman to claim that a black man had done something to her, and that was enough to start the fire. In response to the allegation by Taylor, white men began to search for Jussie Hunter, along with Aaron Carrier and Sam Carter, who were believed to be accomplices. Now they just pulling this shit out of thin air. Out of thin air. They got all of this just based on a white woman making some allegations. Right? Now there's no way she could have known who the man was if he was escaped, because that means he was in prison, so she wouldn't have known how to recognize him. So now not only is he the guilty party, but now they got two black men that are a part of the town, Rosewood, as his accomplices. Carrier was captured and incarcerated while Carter was lynched. The white mob suspected Aaron Carrier's cousin, Sylvester, a Rosewood resident, of harboring Jussie Hunter. So now they just pulling out, like I said, they just pulling this shit out of thin air. Now they caught up with Aaron Carrier, you understand what I'm saying? Dragged him behind a truck, beat him and all that, and the sheriff stepped in and locked him up and put him under protective custody. They found Sam Carter, and like they said, they lynched him. They hung him. So now they're going to look for Aaron Carrier's cousin, Sylvester, because supposedly he's harboring this escaped rapist. On January 4, 1923, a group of 20 to 30 white men approached the Carrier home and shot the family dog. When Sylvester's mother, Sarah, came to the porch to confront the mob, they shot and killed her. Sylvester defended his home, killing 2 men and wounding 4 in the ensuing battle before he too was killed. The next day, they went in and they burned down everything else that was left. The white mob went in and burned down everything that was left. And they had Klansmen from Gainesville coming in. They had white supremacists from all around coming in and joining in on the mob. I'm sure y'all remember the movie Rosewood. Well, this is the massacre that movie was based off of. The next day, the white mob burned the Carrier home before joining with a group of 200 men from surrounding towns who had heard erroneously that a black man had killed 2 white men. As night descended, the mob attacked the town. The cover of night. The mob attacked the town, slaughtering animals and burning buildings. An official report claimed 6 blacks and 2 whites were killed. Other accounts suggest a larger total. I'm quite sure it was a much larger total. At the end of the carnage, only 2 buildings remained standing, a house and the town general store. So the general store that the white man, John Wright, owned, and his house were the only two buildings that were left standing in this whole community. And all this based on a white woman saying that a black man had come, unknown, unidentifiable black man had come in and assaulted her. Were there any charges? Of course not. Of course not. The initial report of the Rosewood incident, presented less than a month after the massacre, claimed there was insufficient evidence for prosecution. Thus, no one was charged with any of the Rosewood murders. In 1994, however, as a result of new evidence and renewed interest in the event, the Florida legislature passed the Rosewood bill, which entitled the 9 survivors to $150,000 apiece. $150,000. That's it. And again, all based on the word of a lone white woman, identified, and in this case, she couldn't even point out the black man that supposedly had done something to her. All she had to do was say it was a black man. Remember, what was her name? Susan Smith? Was that her name? Yeah, Susan Smith. Susan Leigh Smith is an American woman who was convicted of murdering her two sons, 3-year-old Michael and 14-month-old Alexander, in 1994 by drowning them in a South Carolina lake. Now remember what she initially said happened to her children. The case gained international attention because of Smith's false claim that a black man had kidnapped her sons during a carjacking. And I can vividly remember the description of the black man. It was just any ordinary, everyday black man with a toboggan on. So 1 million black men could have fit that description. But initially, that's what she did. She decided, okay, I'm going to kill my kids and I'm going to blame it on a black man. And they went around for weeks trying to find a black man. So this is just the evidence. You understand what I'm saying? They've been doing it. This ain't just because we're starting to see more and more and more of the Karen videos and the Ken videos and all of this. This ain't nothing new. They've been doing it. They've been committing crimes, blaming it on black folks. White women have been crying rape. You got all them white women that were willingly having relations with Bill Cosby and doing drugs with him and all of this kind of stuff. 30, 40 years later, now they want to claim they was raped. And it's been proven that they have lied on the stand. It's been proven they have lied in books and all this. But ain't nobody talking about prosecuting none of them. For making false claims, for making false statements, for filing false police reports. So if you ain't gonna get none of these folks that have actually caused the deaths of black people, have actually caused black people to be incarcerated for years and years and years based on a lie. The prosecutors, the police officers, the judges, everybody that went along with it, knowing it wasn't right, knowing it was a lie. If none of those people are going to be brought to justice, if none of those people are going to be charged and tried and convicted, then they need to leave Jussie alone. Jussie Smollett needs to be left alone. So that's just what I wanted to come on here. I wanted to just, spend some time talking about this. And talking about how these white supremacists, in all of their white privilege, feel like black folks got to empty their pockets out to them and got to prove something to them and got to show them their identification, quote unquote, their papers. Like we used to have to do back in the days of slavery. Like they had to do in Nazi Germany. And we just supposed to automatically, when somebody white asks us something or tells us to do something, we just supposed to automatically obey them. And if none of these people who have clearly made fake 911 calls, have clearly filed false police reports, have clearly made false statements to the police, and all of, if ain't none of them being tried and being charged and being convicted, and folks talking about putting them in prison and all of that, then they need to let Jussie Smollett alone. Because Jussie Smollett ain't harmed nobody but himself. He ain't done no harm to nobody but himself. Them Nigerian brothers can go back to Nigeria and be just fine. Jussie Smollett has harmed nobody but Jussie. But these folks out here getting people killed. And they've been getting people killed. Getting people locked up for life. Telling lies. So like I said, all of these articles will be down in the description box. For some of you younger folks, some of my younger listeners or whoever that don't know about some of these cases, read up on this so that you can understand. You understand that this is historical. This ain't no new stuff. White folk been doing this. And you need to know the history. You need to know the history of racism and white supremacy in America. You need to know that it does not change its playbook. It's still operating by the same playbook. Black folks are the only ones that keep falling for the okie doke. But nothing has changed. We just live in that era of video where you can just pull out your phone and hurry up and make a quick video. So we're seeing it on a level like we've never seen it before. But it's been going on. Read about Susan Smith, how she killed her 2 children so that she could be in a relationship with a man and then blamed a black man, a fictitious black man. So y'all make sure y'all get down in that description box and read these stories so you can know what you're seeing when you see it. And so that you can understand that you're not seeing anything new. And so that you can understand that because you're not seeing anything new, because this is just part of the black experience in America, and this is part of our history, then you'll understand that there's no such thing as a post-racial society. We've moved beyond race. No, we haven't. No, we haven't. And don't let anybody tell you that we have moved beyond race. Not as a society we haven't. Not as a nation we haven't. Now there may be individual people that have learned how to move beyond race. But as a nation and as a society as a whole, we have not moved not one iota beyond racism. So y'all please like this video. You know, I need those likes. Please share this video. Please have these conversations on and off social media. Like I tell you, have these conversations with your family, your friends, your co-workers. Sit down, discuss this stuff. Like I said, for you younger people who don't know anything about some of these older stories, start doing some of your research. And you'll see how this thing is commonplace. This is nothing new. But again, like I said, if the law is not going to apply to everybody, then it should not apply to anybody. So if the law has to apply to Jussie Smollett, then it also has to apply to all of these Karens and Kens walking around here making all these false reports, all these fake 911 calls, all of that. That man that made that false report in Walmart, they need to pull back and charge him. The dispatcher that didn't relay the message correctly to the police in the Tamir Rice case, they need to pull back and charge that dispatcher. The person who made the 911 call and called him a guy, not a child, not a boy, but a guy, not a teenager, but a boy. Just a guy. They need to reach back and see about charging him. That white woman that accused that black man of stealing her phone, false allegation. And I'm going to tell you something else, black folks. Y'all going to have to stop walking away from these situations. Just glad that you were able to walk away from it. And you're going to have to start suing these people. You're going to have to start bringing civil lawsuits against these Karens and these kids when they run up on you, falsely accusing you of stuff and calling police on you and all of this kind of stuff. You're going to have to take it to a personal level. They took it to a personal level. And they understood when they called the police on you that they were very, very possibly putting your very life in danger. So you need to take it to a personal level with them, and you need to start suing these people. You need to start getting you some civil attorneys and filing some lawsuits against these folks. When somebody makes an open public statement like that about you and accuses you of something that you know you didn't do and it's proven that you can do it, that's slander, that's defamation, that's all kinds of stuff. You got all kinds of legal grounds to sue them civilly. And in some cases, there are attorneys, when your case is that strong, you got videotape of this person accusing you of doing something out in the open, out in public, and everybody can hear it. Or this person online accusing you of doing something. See, when they go on social media and accuse you of these things, that's a public forum. That's defamation of character. That's slander. And they can be sued for that stuff. So black folks, instead of just walking away from it, glad that you were able to walk away from it, it's time to make these folks start paying. While we pushing to make sure that they pay criminally, in the meantime, we need to be making sure that they pay civilly. Because if enough of civil lawsuits start coming out against these folks, they'll think twice about running up on black people, accusing them of stuff, and talking about, I'm going to call the police on you, and all that kind of stuff. So that's what we need to be doing in the meantime, in between time, while we're working on making sure that they are held criminally responsible. Just like they want to hold Jussie Smollett criminally responsible. These white folks, these suspected white supremacists and white supremacists, these kids and these Karens also need to be held responsible criminally for all these false reports, all these fake 911 calls. All this putting black folks' lives in imminent danger. when we see over and over and over and over and over again how the interaction between black folks and the police end up going downhill real fast, real bad. And stop feeling like you're beholden to these people, that you got to prove anything to these people. If you know they're wrong, if you know that you didn't do what they're accusing you of, or whatever the case may be, you stand your ground. All this emptying out pockets and all of this kind of stuff. No, you get your phone, you record this mess, and if you walk away from it, make sure that you go get you a good lawyer and you sue their ass in civil court. So again, make sure you share this video. Make sure you have these conversations. Make sure you get down in that description box. And for those of you who are old enough, it don't hurt to refresh your memory. It don't hurt for us to be reminded that what we're dealing with now is what we have always dealt with in this country. Ain't nothing changed. Just because we got a few black faces in high places and they ain't doing nothing for us, they ain't doing nothing for the black community, all they looking out for is themselves and butter biscuits for themselves. Just because we got a few black faces in high places, that don't mean that anything has changed. Because the black folks that white folks prop up are not interested in doing anything for black society as a whole. They only interested in what they can get for themselves. So, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification so you can be notified when we upload videos. Like I said, I kind of believe they got a shadow ban on the channel simply because of my content. But that's okay. That's okay. We're going to keep it moving like we always do. Get down in that description box and get that refresher course for you younger people. Get down in there so you can know what's been going on around you and what was going on before you got here, so that you'll understand that nothing has changed. If you're not on code, get on code, which simply means that code of conduct where we do absolutely nothing or say anything, publicly or privately, that's detrimental to black society as a whole. That's what being on code means. We look after each other. We take care of each other. Does it mean that we support each other even when, okay, if somebody black is doing something wrong and we know they're doing something wrong, okay, well, when they get caught, they're going to jail. The black man is the most punished person in the United States. Like I said, he punished for what he did and what he didn't do. That's the reason why you see more and more black men being exonerated and being released and having all of these convictions overturned and all of that. The black man is the most punished person in the United States. So no, it's not like we're condoning when black people do wrong. But we already know when black people do wrong, they're going to be punished. But now it's time for white society to be punished the exact same way. If it can't be even and level across the board, then yes, we're going to keep fighting against it. So if they got to do all of this for Jussie, they better do all of this for these Karens and Kens and all these white folks out here telling these lies, making these false reports, and these fake 911 calls. Get on code, stay on code, and remember to keep your power tools and your candy bars close at hand. Y'all have a good one.